Hi guys, this is SDJRSNF88 speaking with the first instalment on my brand new railway room. So welcome to this new series of videos following the construction of a dedicated railway room. Now this is something I've always dreamed of and basically would come in extremely handy with my line of work and of course the many modelling projects that I've shared with you guys in the past on this channel. Now, those projects you've seen have been constructed in various places, from the kitchen table to on the floor in the loft, and of course my Nan and Gramps conservatory, so I can't thank them enough for allowing me to build layouts in their conservatory. But basically, with the purchase of this property closer to work, it has meant the excuse that I can actually basically have a dedicated room to my modelling and of course the hobby. So here it is. This is the smallest room in the house, naturally. It had to be the smallest room, but there we go. And basically this was originally an office with the previous owner. And what I've basically done here is I've basically tried to design a sort of baseboard and shelving unit to provide a workbench, a layout and storage for all of my micro projects and of course many of my other modelling projects as well. So as you can see, the baseboards have been constructed thanks to the handiwork of my father. I basically drew up a design of what I wanted. We went through many different things that I sort of needed in the room. And we basically came up with this design, and he got us some wood, and basically this is the end result. So what I'm going to do now is basically give you a tour of the room to show you what hopefully this room will be used for. So the room is roughly 8 foot and 1 inch by 7 foot and 4 inches. And as you can see, we have built this continuous baseboard all the way around the walls. And we have also included a lift out section, which you can see here. And this basically allows us access in and out of the room. Of course, I'm debating on what method is best for this, but we'll come on to that later on. And the boards themselves are actually built from ply. I forgot what thickness it is. I think it's about 1/4 inch, maybe 1/2 inch ply. But it is really strong, sturdy, ideal for building baseboards and shelves. Again, the legs are also made of plywood, and they've all just been painted in this sort of sky blue colour for the moment. When we got the room, it did need redecorating, so before any of the boards were put in, we painted the walls white. This I thought would be an ideal sort of colour for backdrops, and of course for the workbench as well, which we'll come on to in a moment. One key thing though, which I had sort of spent a lot of time thinking over, was the floor. Now I didn't want a carpet in here in case weathering powders and bits of models get lost in the carpet monster, so I decided that it'd be best to have this laminate floor. And as you can see, it's a wood effect, it's grey, so it matches the carpets in the rest of the house, which I've actually done a bit of interior designing, which was quite unbelievable on my half, but yeah, I've actually designed it so it matches the rest of the house, and I really do like this wood effect. It's really nice, really simple to put down, quite heavy duty, it's nice and flat, and it doesn't make much noise while walking about either, unlike other laminate floors. We've also done a bit of work regarding the electronics. As you can see here, we put in this sort of 4-ported wall plug, which clips over the double wall plug there, and that allows me plenty of electrical connections for running layouts, and of course any tools like soldering irons in the room as well. And as you can see, coming off of there is another sort of like multi-socket, which is further on down on the other wall, so that allows me more access for lighting and other bits and pieces. And then we also have another socket, which we'll come on to in a moment, which is actually on baseboard level. Now, as well as that, you've probably noticed that there's a bit of a yellowy tinge to this video, which is not ideal, and that is because of the current bulb in use in the room. Don't worry, this is not staying. This is something I haven't got around to replacing yet. It's an energy efficient, like 3-watt bulb. It is awful for lighting, but as I mentioned, I've got other sort of tricks for lighting in the room as well, but this will be replaced. I've got like a pendant which has got 4 sort of LED bright white spotlights on there, which will be perfect for illuminating the room, the workbench, and the many modelling projects that will hopefully be underway in this room once complete. So this is the dedicated workbench area, or what will be the dedicated workbench area. This is something I've always wanted but never really been able to have back at the family home because there just hasn't been space to set one up. And as you know, in recent years I've been really getting involved with my modelling in the sense of building a load of kits now, and of course assembling micro layouts. So having a dedicated workbench area where I can leave my tools and leave projects is something that really I've always wanted. So this section of the room is going to be just that. And as you can see, we've got a nice solid board. It's 90 centimetres from the floor, which is ideal workbench height. I actually did a research of what is an ideal sort of height for a desk like this, and it came back as 90 centimetres, which is apparently the average for a watchmaker's bench. It's basically the easiest sort of angle that when you're sitting at, your arms can rest on the desk and you can basically do fine paint work and detailing and stuff like that. So it really is ideal. So as you can see, like with much of the room, I'm going to utilise as much space as possible. So as you can see here, we've got a storage unit, and this will basically hold my paints, tools and modelling materials, along with other bigger boxes for the larger items underneath the actual desk itself. Now this will be mounted on the wall up here, and there'll be room for maybe another unit just to the right, or maybe shelves. And as you can see, we've got all these little drawers, which are all different sizes, which are ideal for holding those pots and paints there. So that will go up there. Now we've also got a perfect area for a permanent cutting board. This is, again, really crucial for modelling and other bits and pieces. So having one on there is, ideal. Now, as you can tell, and as I've mentioned briefly, the lighting is going to be replaced in here, but with this shelf, you do need more light. So, of course, we've got the natural light coming in through the window. I have got the blind closed at the moment, but to aid with that, I've got this. Now, this is a LED light strip. It's actually a censored one. So you basically put your hand in front of it, it turns on. Put your hand in front of it again, it turns off. And this will be mounted to the underside of the shelving unit here, and this will illuminate the whole area. Now this light is extremely bright. It is a warm white LED, and I've tested it back at home, and it really is, dazzlingly bright, which is perfect for a modelling bench. So I've got to find the right area to position that so it doesn't sort of get any shadows and stuff. And obviously we're working from home as well. It's ideal for sort of like a photo box as well, so I can use it for photography for the magazine as well. The shelf directly above the workbench is in fact the same width as the bench itself. It is actually 2 foot, roughly by about 7 foot. Now the reason for having such a wide shelf, apart from it helping to hold the lighting strip underneath, is actually so I can make the most of the storage above it. The wall it's mounted on is a solid brick wall, so it's ideal for having a larger, heavier sort of shelf mounted to it. But the idea for this is where Amiens 1918 will be stored. At the moment, it is currently being stored in my grandparents' spare bedroom, which is not ideal. Ever since I put it up in the loft on the floor, when it got really, really warm up there with the other layouts, I noticed all the mud was cracking on it. So basically it had to stay somewhere in the house, and basically it's been staying on the bed in their spare room, which is not ideal. So I needed, one of the criteria for basically this room is somewhere to store this and the other micros. So this shelf was designed. So the idea is Amiens 1918 will go up on top of there. It won't be operational up there, it will have to be taken down to obviously be run. But the idea is the layout can get up there along with its storage box. So when it's needed from basically at exhibitions, I can just lift it off and load it into the car and take it to shows. So whilst we're on the subject of shelves, on the opposite wall we have these two smaller shelves. We have this higher one here and we have this lower one which is slightly wider than the top one. Now the reason we had to go lighter on this wall is this is actually a stud wall, so you can't put too much weight on that in case you actually pull the wall out. So to maximise the most of the storage space, we've gone for these two lighter duty shelves. But these shelves have an extremely important job. The top one will hold Argon Forest in its storage box, and then on top of that will be my photography planks, which has been mentioned in my recent Workbench update. I'll pop a little link at the top of the screen there. And they are in those little wrapping paper boxes, and they will basically all slot up on top of there, out the way. Now this shelf here is the most important, and one that I was really excited that we were able to get in. And if you bear me a second, I have brought a little stuffing down with me, and it is this. It is Fry's Summerdale, and as you can see, gently does it, the shelf has been designed for the layout, and as you can see it fits in there nicely with a bit of space to set up stock on the end there. And not only that, we also have a wall socket that has been dedicated just in the bottom right, just below the shelf, so I can run the lighting and the layout itself. So this will be operational while up here. So Fry's Summerdale will be able to run as its own self-contained unit in this room, which is something I was really hoping that I was able to do. Another idea I did have was to use the layout itself as a bridge section for the layout, which we'll come on to in a bit, but I realised, rather than damaging the layout and also having to fathom these really sharp curves to get it all in, it just made sense just to leave the layout as to be and have its own dedicated shelf. So let me know what you think. I'm really pleased with how it's turned out, and obviously once we've got the better lighting in here, obviously the light strips on there, and the latest had a good clean, I'll get it running and I'll be able to show you guys what it looks like in action once we get the rest of the stock down here. But of course, no railway room would be complete without a built-in layout. Now, this layout is an idea I've been dreaming up over many years, and you guys know I'm a massive fan of this said railway. In fact, just looking at my username sort of gives a hint as to how much I love this line. So basically there's a section of this said line that I've always wanted to model, and this is what I hope to achieve on these boards here. Now the workbench behind me will be cut off by a vertical board here where the trains will come out of. Now this will be, the scenic area will be raised up above the board level on an embankment. That might give a little hint as to where this location will be too. And basically this will continue into the sort of the workbench area. There'll be a raised area like a fiddle yard, maybe a free road yard on the workbench where I can basically work on detailing locos, and I can pop them on the track for a test run and set up a rolling road and all that. So all that will be sort of in aid of the layout as well, having the raised area in there. But anyway, it'll come through a little portal, maybe even a tunnel mouth, another little hint, onto this scenic section. And this board here is about 1.5 foot. This board here is about 2 foot, and it will basically come on off the workbench, sweep on round to the lift out section just here. Now the scenic section at the moment will probably end here. We'll then have obviously just a bit of track on the lift out section, which I could of course plug in, so I can remove this to get in and out of the room with big items. You never know, I might leave it in from time to time, because the door does open and close, but it does mean I have to crawl under the board each time to come in. But the idea at the moment, this will be a lift out section, so the scenic area will end here. Now, just off the camera behind me, which you're probably looking at thanks to the magic of editing, is this board here. So we've got about another sort of 3 foot by 2 foot section here before it goes back onto the workbench. And at the moment, I'm not sure what I'm going to do with this area. Again, it might be part of the workbench where I can work on locomotives, get rolling stock out and pop it on the track. or it might be another separate scenic section, so another area where I could sort of experiment with maybe another little location on the line, or maybe even continuation of the said scene above. The area that I have mentioned though, that I do plan to model, is ideal for this scene however. So there is a starting point and there is an ending point, and that's something very important on a a model railway. I mean, it's like with Fry Somerdale. Fry Somerdale, you have the gate at one end, and then of course you have the sort of the hidden area going behind the billboards off into the station sort of forecourt, which is ideal for ending a scenic section into a fiddle yard, and that is something I need to do here as well. But it's all very exciting stuff. I've already started putting together some of the modelling items I need. I know that I've made a certain man of a certain model shop in Colford very happy with a recent scenic order, and basically, yes, I'm basically compiling the scenic materials that I need. The majority of them I've already sort of collected over the years. As I mentioned, this was a sort of a layout idea I've always wanted to do. So when I've seen bits and pieces for it, I've sort of managed to pick them up as and when, which is ideal, which is of course a big help now, because I only need a few little bits and pieces to sort of really get started. So I look forward to hopefully bringing you more progress or information on this layout in the not too distant future. But at the moment, I'll leave you on a little sort of teaser as to what this scenic area will be. And let me know what you think in the comment section below, and I'll hint if you're right or wrong. But I'm sure many of you will get it, and I know a couple of you already have, with a few teases on my social media pages. So again, something to look forward to in the not too distant future. So there you have it. I hope you enjoyed this first instalment on the railway room, and I hope to bring you more progress on the room itself, and of course the many projects that I hope to develop within its walls. It really is amazing to finally get started on this project. This is something I've always dreamed about, and to finally see it start to come into place, it's quite unbelievable really. I'm really pleased with how it's come along. And of course, I love to hear you guys' feedback on what you think on the room, improvements I can make, and maybe project ideas as well. And of course, your theories on what the proposed layout might be. So anyway, I hope you enjoyed this video, and this has been SDJR Son of 88 speaking, and thanks for watching.